What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge here with me from Across the Park podcast. Make sure you're registered and listening. And I don't know why I said registered.
Registered.
Who registers for a podcast nowadays? Make sure you follow and subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe
for
YouTube.
all the Across the Park podcast news. You're here with the Legged Sportscast. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to kick off this week's roundup of sport with. Should we start with boxing?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I noticed.
Still calling it boxing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the circus that was in not our town. It was in the town of Saudi Arabia, which Tyson Fury, in an interview I've seen with Kugan Cassius, was obviously saying how amazing his time was in Saudi. Obviously,
yeah.
How the hospitality was, the security, and all that, and how he can't wait to go there again. It seemed to be the only interview we'd done because he ducked out of his actual press conference and just done his little one with his mate Coogan, who asks him all the right questions and kind of
controls the narrative.
Yeah, which is obviously but he had a nice shiner when he was doing that interview.
He looked dusted up, didn't he?
And he didn't look like speaking much either. I mean, I watched it, the 10 minutes of it or whatever it was, and he just looked like a man that couldn't really be asked being there anymore. He made his jokes that he got paid, got laid, and now he wants to go home and see his new 6-week-old baby. Fair play to him. But he obviously didn't really get asked the question of, really dig down the question on why he's just been beaten by a guy who's never fought before.
Yeah, I mean, it was embarrassing, nothing short of embarrassing for him, embarrassing for the sport. Some people would say. I'm sure you would say.
I actually tweeted the next day. Has boxing ever been in a worse place? And a lot of people agreed with me. By the way, I've been a bit harsh on Tyson Fury. There's a build-up of things, but I mean, that seems to be the kind of icing on the cake at the minute.
I mean, I don't know. We've kind of gone down that road before. I don't necessarily agree with you on that one. I think the heavyweight division has not covered itself in glory. The crossover fights that have taken place with the YouTubers, if you call that boxing, then it's not a great thing for boxing.
And I'll go one step further.
As most people within the sport have been saying, let's just treat it and call it what it is.
Yeah,
now this
enough.
is a bit different because it's crossover. It's a crossover fight with two elite athletes. And Ngannou, make no joke about it. He's an elite athlete. He's the best heavyweight in the UFC. That doesn't mean to say that he should have had the right to go in there and dominate the ring the way he did at times against Tyson Fury. That was ridiculous.
Mad,
but credit where it's due to Ngannou. I mean, within a minute, he looked like to me, he looked like a boxer. He wasn't. He didn't look like these YouTubers, and you're thinking, that's a bit awkward. This and it's only a matter of time before. Now, I wasn't shocked that happened, but I was shocked that he maintained that form for the whole fight.
Yeah, and I think to be fair to Tyson Fury, that's what he kind of said, was like, he didn't know what he was going to box like. So I think it was a shock to see him not only box the way he did, but then, like you say, maintain that.
Do you know what I'll say? And look, we're by no means elite athletes.
One of us has a world record.
Doesn't need to be said. But all right, well that's probably a good.
I'm only joking.
No, I was just.
I've done an hour and a half power walk today. I'm fucked.
Yeah. All I was going to say is, if you've ever played any sport and you're a decent like recreational player, say like you're the best in your mates and whatever, and you play someone, or you're expecting to play someone who's rubbish.
Yeah.
Whether it's snooker or darts or tennis or footy or whatever. I'm not saying if someone turns up who's well better than you expect, it can take a while to kind of adjust, and it can be a bit of a shock to the system, can't it?
Oh yeah, there's levels, yeah.
And I think if you go into anything half-hearted, which there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever, that Tyson Fury, both mentally and physically, was not prepared for that fight, then you'll get.
Well, he's come out and he said that if there's anyone to blame him. He was fully prepared, as best as he could be. No excuses, etc. But the fact of the matter is, he looked a very below par Tyson Fury, and I also think, not to take anything away from Francis, but I think he'd obviously prepared meticulous. And I think Tyson, whether he likes to admit it or not, had took his foot off the gas.
There's no question about it.
So it's not as if like the both. It's
one's dropped the game significantly. The other one is, and from everyone who knew Francis Ngannou, not even intimately, but knew his kind of background, it was like, this man is renowned for literally getting every ounce out of himself,
leaving no stone
and pushing himself to the absolute limits. And if you knew that about the person you were going in the ring with, then I mean, look, let's get it right. He's not showing him the level of respect he deserved, given that he's a, you know, he's an elite, world class combat.
Yeah.
You know, he's an elite fighter. He's a world class fighter. But look, let's not dance around.
By the way, I don't think it was like Francis should have 100% won.
You did the other day.
I know, but I backtracked on that a bit.
Yeah,
I think he did win, but I don't mean it's like it's the biggest shock in the world. It would have been like if it was a split decision.
I don't think the cards were like bang on, looking to go. He was give him like 5 rounds. I was watching it, and obviously on WhatsApp, it's kind of chatting to my mates about it, and I had him 2 rounds up.
Tyson or Francis?
I had Tyson. Yeah. I didn't give Ngannou more than I give him the rounds that he knocked him out, and maybe give him 1 more. I think it was that's what
Tyson
maybe.
Fury kind of scored it as.
And I am admittedly a Tyson Fury fan, but regardless, I do. I'd like to think, unless I've got major money on a fight, I like to think I'll watch a fight, and I'm a fairly decent judge of it, and I'm not that biased. And I had no reason to be biased. I was actually looking forward to the fight, but I was looking forward because I was expecting at some point a knockout. I wasn't expecting that. I was going to say I wasn't expecting that Fury to be knocked down. I actually was, you know. That wasn't a shock. Like I was saying to me, why are we shocked that Fury's been knocked down? He's pretty much been knocked down in 70% of his fights.
That's 3 or 4 of the fights.
70% of his fights, like he's ever fought, he's been knocked down. I mean, bar the ones that he's just ended in a few rounds, which there haven't been that many of. He's not hard to hit, Tyson Fury. I mean, one thing you can say about Tyson Fury is there's been a lot of occasions that he's taken opponents lightly. And when he does, he drastically underperforms. I'm surprised he doesn't know that about himself now and hasn't kind of...
I mean, the thing what I found most startling about it all is, you could argue he was below par. Yes, you could argue he didn't respect Francis enough. Yes, you could argue about the judges. The biggest thing I don't get is they made a big song and dance about him signing his contract to fight on December 23rd, which gives him, 7 weeks, 6 weeks? He's turning around after the fight saying he's got a newborn baby, wants to go back and switch off and have some time with his family.
His head fell off.
Take off another week or 2.
His head fell off.
So you think on the back of that performance, he's going to give himself 4 weeks to train to fight Usyk?
He's not going to do it, is he?
That fight's not happening.
Not going to do it. He's going to have to pay because he was the first person saying if Usyk doesn't take that fight on the 23rd, the lawyers will get involved and they'll sue him and all that. So if he's not taking it on the 23rd, and I wouldn't say he's throwing his toys out the pram, but I think he was that much. He was in utter shock from the moment he got knocked to the canvas. You could see the look in his eyes. He almost looked to the corner and say, "What's happened here?"
Yeah.
And he didn't. He hasn't. I think he's still recovered from it now. And I think his default is to sulk and just go away and go, right, sound. And he'll probably say tomorrow, "I'm never boxing again." Wouldn't surprise me if he come out and retired again and then come back.
Yeah, no, nothing. Yeah.
He's by admission, his own admission, he's bipolar, isn't he? And I'm not kind of. I'm not making a joke about that. It's just that's his personality. Isn't it? So,
but also though, forget the bipolar. I think he just likes to talk shit. I mean, I like to talk shit on a level. He fucking just likes to talk shit.
When he's in that
to mood, the masses.
When he's in that mood though, and again that is.
You know the way like we do a Wednesday show and we just sit around and we joke and we have a laugh and we just talk and ramble a bit. That's between 2 mates on a podcast that 100 or a couple of thousand people might listen to. He does that kind of rambling, talking shite to the world.
Billions.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not knocking him for that, but I'm just saying that's why the way people who listen to the Wednesday show take what we say with a pinch of salt. But he's asking the whole world to take what he says with a pinch of salt, and not everyone wants to.
We spoke about it last week about the fact he was banning TalkSport from the fight and all that, and it's like you reap what you sow, don't you? If as you say, if you talk that loudly, not in the literal sense, but if you're talking and being that open about your opinions and what you feel and about how good you are, it's only a matter of time. Not only a matter of time, it's everyone else's right to go, well, I disagree, or this is what I think.
I did watch it though. I didn't mind admitting to kind of watching that. Enjoyed it.
I did. I thought it was a decent. I thought it was a really entertaining fight in the sense that it was like, wow, you couldn't take your eyes off it, thinking when's he gonna break him down?
Something's gonna happen.
But if anything, it was obvious. what was obvious is that he did not expect for a minute for that fight to go longer than 4 rounds, because after 5 rounds he was done in. He was gassed.
Yeah, you know, I didn't want to have a big bet on it, but I did have a cheeky tenner on Wardley. I'd had a few beers and just thought, you know what, I'll just bit of interest. I had £10 at 7-1 on Fury to be knocked down and win.
Wow, nice.
What a random shout.
That is decent.
7-1, I'll tenner on it. So,
you know what, my mate actually messaged me, Millsy was who they across the park with. He messaged me at about 6-7 o'clock or something, and he's not into his boxing, but if there's a fight on, if there's a fight night on, he normally message me going, what are you betting on tonight? And he went, Judge betting on Tyson Fury points tonight, and I just said, haha, as if there's no way it's going the distance.
Yeah.
And like 7 rounds in, I messaged him and said, did you put this on, lad?
Yeah.
But he didn't. I didn't have a bet on it.
Yeah, it was only just a bit of
there wasn't much value in it. I mean, that obviously you got some value there, but for me, what I thought was going to happen, there wasn't much value in it.
Am I right in thinking, excuse me, just on my phone, is the Tom Aspinall fight this weekend, is it? In Madison Square Garden. I think it might be, you know, which would be great if it is. That's to look forward to. Just
something briefly, by the way, and for people who did watch the show, there was a fight on before it, Fabio Wardley, and he dispatched, I forget his name now, but there was a lot of needle going into that fight, and he's pretty much set up a fight now with Frazer Clarke. They were on Sky yesterday, bigging it up and talking about it. That'll be some fight, and I've got mixed feelings on it. I think, you know, they clearly dislike each other. Not as much as it's going to do me head, and I can't remember Fabio Wardley's opponent, David Azali or whatever, but not as much as that. But they've been kind of having a pop at each other for quite some time. I think it's too early for that fight. I think the 2 up and coming British fighters, let them both keep on the winning ways for a bit. I think so, and it's one of them in boxing. Losing a fight, it's a big deal. Do you know what I mean?
I think when you can in some aspects create those narratives, they just make for such a better fight. Like if that happened now,
can be a bigger fight in a few years' time.
I bet you know, if I start investing a bit more into their careers,
that story, and I always feel like they can keep that going, keep the beef going, keep arguing, you know, taking the mick out of each other and stuff, and have a few more fights, and then maybe fight in 2 years' time. But the thing is, though, there's a man for it. You know, he's talking about Fabio Wardley, who's a big Ipswich fan, wants to do it at the end of the season at Portman Road and stuff, which would be great. So maybe they'll have one more fight before then, but that'll be a proper dust up. And I think back to the fight probably 3 or 4 years ago now. It was Dillian Whyte and Chisora, and it was one of the best fights I've seen ever. It was a proper, like, toe-to-toe.
I feel like he's been in loads, though, you know, Dillian Whyte, hasn't he?
Yeah, Dillian Whyte and Chisora. They're both similar to those two. I think, if we're going to be honest, ability-wise, I think they're much better. I mean, I might get crucified for this, but from what I've seen, I don't think either of them looks like they're ever going to be world level. I mean, they might creep into the top 10, but I think Dillian Whyte and Chisora probably got proved to be the same, you know, just outside of the top 10. On that
note, though, the boxing, would you say then, talking like the top 10, the big one, the big hitters, would you start putting Francis Ngannou making kind of AJ fights and Wilder fights?
Do you know, if I was one of those, if I was an AJ, or, you know, Dillian Whyte's obviously under the cloud now because of the drug stuff, but, you know, there's a few fighters knocking about in that top 5, 6, 7 or whatever, even Hellenius or whatever. I'd be looking at Ngannou going, I'll take that all day. If he's going to get pulling that type of money and that type of attention, and everyone's going to be keen to see who he fights next now.
And it's like 38 or something, isn't
it? But you've now got the beauty of watching 10 rounds back and going, all right, I know what to expect. And Ngannou's not going to be able to reinvent himself from his first pro fight to his second pro fight. If I was an AJ's obviously kind of almost in a dark cupboard somewhere at the moment. I think it's a perfect little fight for him to go ahead, I'll take it. I think Eddie actually said it afterwards, saying, I'll put AJ in there, and AJ I'll take him out in 3 rounds.
Yeah, and it's got the whole Razzmatazz and Mike Tyson there as well, and it's just always adds that to it.
They're both big lads, aren't they, and the proper physical specimens.
Do you know what? Like, I think it's one for the women as well, isn't it? Because you know,
100%, yeah.
Women could watch that. It's the 2 finest specimens of men, Anthony 100%. Joshua and Francis Ngannou. Yeah,
like, defo. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of fighters in that top 10 thinking, I'll have a bit of that, because it's not only the fact of pulling in money, which is obviously huge, it's almost getting a bit of a, you know, credit to go, well, Fury couldn't get rid of him, I did.
Oh yeah, big you know, point scoring thing against Fury, isn't it?
I hope he sticks around, because, you know, I really, I don't listen. I'm not a massive UFC fan and stuff. Obviously knew what he'd done and knew his record in UFC, but I like the way he went about the fight. He seems a really honest guy and clearly put the work in. He was dead humble after. He wasn't, wasn't bitching about the results, which he could easily have been. He was disappointed, obviously, but I like the way he conducted himself, and I'd like to see him back in there.
And not to bring any more light to it, but you look at the way that KSI was, kicking the stuff, and you look at him.
I know. He's the type of guy you want to see do well, isn't he? And I'm made up he's made a ton of money out of it.
So the other one, I won't go too much into the Tom Aspinall fight. I hope it's this weekend. If it is, I apologise, but if it is, he's up for the interim heavyweight championship. Now that John Jones was injured, I'm sure it is this weekend.
Yeah, I think it is.
I mean, all I would say on it is, what an opportunity this is for him. I don't know whether I'm dead excited for him to have taken it.
I know.
I would have liked to have, if it's his first title shot, you would have wanted him to have a full camp and,
It's actually the 12th, so we've got a bit of time. Okay. We can talk about it next week, which is probably good for both of us.
Because I am excited for it. I'll take you straight away then, away from the boxing, into just quick news on the tennis. Alcaraz has been knocked out of the Paris Masters. Will he still finish as number one 2023? I don't buy into the whole number one thing anymore. I think it's bullshit.
It is.
Novak, my man Novak, doesn't even play in half the tournaments now. He picks and chooses because of his age.
Because you have to, yeah.
So does that mean that he could basically win every tournament he plays in?
It's a bit like golf. It's a lot like golf. Yeah. If you play in more tournaments than the others, even if you don't win them,
you're going to be higher up the rankings.
Rory's shown so many times, doesn't have to win the majors.
Yeah, he's always finishes in the top 5 or something.
He finishes 8th, he finishes 7th, and he accumulates points. Therefore, he's world number one. It is a little bit.
And also, I know it's big for the kind of point rankings, etc. But the Paris Masters, I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say, the podcast we talk about the big boy tournaments, and the Paris Masters.
I haven't even bothered watching.
No, well, he's been knocked out anyway. Yeah. The other big news in other sports, which I thought was absolutely crazy, and I know we both listened to a really good interview on TalkSport about the ice hockey incident. So if anyone hasn't seen this week, it was an ice hockey player who's unfortunately lost his life.
Just getting his name, so obviously.
Freak accident. Basically, they're skating along, and so what looks to have happened is one of the skaters
Nottingham Panthers player Adam Johnson.
So Adam Johnson's there, and one of the opposing players' skaters basically come up and sliced his neck.
Comes across, so that Adam Johnson's got the puck, and he kind of comes across, and one of his teammates is there. It's a blurred footage that you can actually see.
It's not great, the footage, yeah.
But essentially, as you say, he comes across, and his foot, the hands are collide, the opponent's foot ends up in the air, and his blade catches Adam Johnson's neck, and
it almost looks like
Adam Johnson actually skates off with his hands on his throat. That's the most disturbing bit, I think.
I thought the video that I saw, I thought that can't be it, because if you just had your throat sliced, you're lying there on the floor. He gets up, hands on his neck,
skates off.
Although, proper little sidestep a sec. I know a lad in Afghan who got shot in the neck and literally just put a like an FFD on his neck, and we just walked to the helo.
Oh Jesus!
So it depends on
big man stuff.
But so it can kind of happen, but yet regardless, I mean, this guy, unbelievable what he got up, and unfortunately he's lost his life. What I will say, a few different things to this is, one, like we've just said, the video footage isn't great, and I don't know what started the speculation or what, but when you look at the video, it does look like a bit like a kung fu kind of.
It looks really bad.
Do you know what it reminds me a little bit of? And obviously not making any jokes of any sort in this, but what was that Charlie's Angels? You know that Charlie's Angels where they had like a blade on their feet? And she kind of, that was one of her things. It looked like he just does that. And I think that video has kind of caused people to go, he's done that on purpose. Because
he's come across to smash him, like, do you know what I mean? He's come across to
smash him, but obviously what happened is his foot apparently hit a bit of ice, and it's literally just
the edge of his blade, like, caught in the ice, and that's almost caused like a ricochet.
Yeah,
and it's like
it looks like he's,
as a skater, it's like your way of keeping your balance and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
But it looks like he's went on this video. It looks like he's proper went to kind of drop kick him almost. He obviously hasn't, and I don't know what come first, but there seems to be like there's a police investigation going on, which seems mad.
I mean, I think.
But do you think that was started
though
from
maybe, doesn't it? Because
on Twitter or something, people are saying that.
No, I think it's happened in sporting events before. Obviously, I mean, Duncan Ferguson went to prison for headbutting on someone on the pitch. It's seen as so if the police deem that it's assault, i.e. it was intentional, then he gets charged with assault regardless of whether it's on the field.
But that's what I'm
not.
saying. Duncan Ferguson goes up, and you can see, it's meant.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like, well, that's what I'm saying, and maybe it does look like it was. I don't know. It's obviously.
Roy Keane nearly got done for the Alflinga Haaland one, didn't he?
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that later though? After he kind of basically said in his book, "I meant to do it."
No. This was at the time. It was like.
Oh really? Okay. I don't know what started.
I think what actually stopped the CPS from prosecuting is Haaland said no. Like, I'm not pressing charges.
Alflinga Haaland was like, "Listen, I've got a little kid here who's gonna rip the fucking place up."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if I don't earn any more money. This is my little golden child. But no, all kind of talking about SPORTCAST, that fucking really sad. Young guy, he's passed away, and now they're talking about bringing in extra safety measures that are going to basically have something across your neck, which apparently is already in for, I think, under 18s.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
But then once you get to 18, you can kind of stop wearing it because
that shows, doesn't it? Then it's like something that can happen. Now it's quite an extreme one, but even that alone shows that there's a risk. So obviously your neck, whether it's from something freak like that or.
Yeah, I think it was just a freak accident.
It was a freak accident, and I know people, as you were going to say then, were suggesting that it was intentional, and if it was intentional, he should be getting done for manslaughter and all that. And look, if it was, he should be. But and again, I don't, as you can probably imagine, I'm not an ice skater, and I'm certainly no. Just despite the numerous things I can do, I can't ice skate, and I certainly can't play hockey at the same time. I think it's incredible what they do, but. From the only decent, insight I've heard is from an ice hockey expert, and he was on Talksport, and he just said, "Look, I've played the game, I've watched the game, and as soon as I seen it close enough, you could see what happens. He caught his foot got caught in the ice, and it kind of flicked up from it, almost like a bit of it. You know what I mean? Like fires
just
up.
Just a fucking really sad accident, which unfortunately happens sometimes.
Just briefly on the rugby last weekend, obviously the final, South Africa got through it. It was, I don't know if you watched it in the end.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It was obviously it's frustrating, and the sending off is a sending off. The All Blacks captain gets sent off, and that could have potentially killed the game. The All Blacks were incredible how they stayed in it, and you look at it and think they probably would have won it, not at a canter, but it's mad though. I think it's the same with footy, and every time I've watched rugby, it seems like it doesn't really work that way, and every time a pack loses a player, they just get dismantled. But in footy, obviously, you have that kind of effect psychologically. When you lose a player, everyone ups the game by 10-20%, and they almost make up for that extra player, and that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could see the intensity.
Doesn't always happen though, but obviously it's in that
I don't
game,
think it happens very often in rugby, to be fair. I literally went...
I think it's more detriment than rugby.
Yeah, exactly.
You can really notice the missing a player.
Yeah, and that's it, because it is so, like, tactically, it's so... Everyone's they're so set up, and that gap is hard to fill, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they upped the game so much, and it was a brilliant match in the end, and they were unlucky not to get over the line.
They were unlucky then.
I said to you, I think, early on in the tournament, I think we were talking about games. I said South Africa, I said I like the Germany.
Yeah,
you just grind it and get... Whereas the All Blacks are like Brazil, and the team that everyone wants to win, but sometimes doesn't work that way.
There was a sin bin thing as well for South Africa, and I think it come... You talk about that sending off, and you think if it's only just, happened a little bit long, but...
There was a couple of sin bins, and that levels it a little bit, doesn't it? And that's... I like it. Do you know what? I can't speak highly enough of sin bins. I'd love sin bins to come into footy.
I know, but you think about the extra time though, and that it's already how many minutes you had on, and you think about it.
But why's that going to be extra time? Bang off the pitch, bang you back on.
The arsing around of them going off the pitch.
It's not though, is it? It's just literally like someone's come off injured, so he runs off the pitch, and it's like one of them. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Back on. You imagine that? You kidding me? Takore, yeah, lads, you're going off 5 minutes. What? No, just go on. You be on a minute.
It's not, you're talking about it like it's a Sunday League manager who's asked the kids to come
have you not
up.
been watching any footy this season? I
do like it though,
and I thought what was great as well that the captain's I don't know, there's the captain actually.
The captain,
one of the
New
speeches
Zealand got sent off, didn't he?
No, but one of the speeches afterwards for South Africa.
I didn't see that. No,
he just spoke about how sport, South Africa with all its problems, what's going on with racism, and he just spoke really well. And you kind of think like if everyone listens,
good ambassadors though, rugby players in general, aren't they?
Yeah, they speak most of the time really well, and just a great message about what sport can do, bring people together and all that, which was good. And then I think, mate, that brings us into a pretty big weekend of football, as in last weekend and this weekend. We'll finish with the Prem stuff. So we'll go to Spain first. Bellingham. He is a joke.
Stop it.
Like,
when I seen the 1-0 down, I was like, oh, and then Bellingham equalises. I didn't know what I wasn't watching the game. It was like 3:15 on Saturday, which is crap. Should always be on. Like
8 o'clock.
Clasico should be on 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, or you know, Sunday night or something. It should never be on at 3 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah, and I didn't even
be overlooked like that.
I'd done the old thing on flash scores where I'd marked it, and then I got a notification at like 1:15. I was like, what?
Yeah, what's going on
there? Mate. So yeah, you see 1-0. I was a bit like, I mean, what are you more Barca or Madrid?
Madrid, you know.
I'm Barca, me.
I'm Madrid now, yeah. And that's not now.
I think I went to Nou Camp when I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it's strange. I've never been the Bernabeu. I've been to the Nou Camp 3 times. I've seen a El Clasico game when it was like Neymar, Suarez and Messi.
Wow.
Jen got it for me 30th birthday.
That wasn't enough to kind of make you go Barca?
No, I don't know. I think it's like the...
You know what it is? It's because Madrid beat Liverpool in the European Cup final.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit to do with that. Like. No, I think it's like... I don't know.
It's defo, is like.
No, it isn't.
You are that.
No. You know, thinking back, you know what it was? I loved Ronaldo. When Beckham went over to Real Madrid, that team when they had like Luis Figo, Carlos, Beckham, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Dines off that, and it was like, obviously, Barcelona's brand of footy, it was unique, and it is unique. But I don't know. It's just a bit like, I'm not a big tiki-taka fan. You know, like.
Yeah. I think I'm just proper Messi. Like the whole. But. My point is, though, I'm Barca, but since Bellingham have gone there, I'm a bit like, I'm always, has Bellingham scored? What's happened with Madrid this week?
And I just love the blend they've got in that team now, like the youth and the experience. Like, look at them 4 holding midfielders. They're just going to
be some team for some years to come as well, because of the age in them. So, yeah, they go 1-0 down, Madrid, and then Bellingham, if you've not seen it, go on YouTube, it's Twitter, absolute screamer to level the score.
Yeah, and Barca, like, kind of quite compact at the time by the looks of it, and they're just kind of watching him as you tap it about, and he just goes, opens, like, puts it onto his right foot and just smashes it.
Rocket, unbelievable. And then a bit of a scrappy goal for the winner, but 92nd minute.
What was great about it, both the goals as well, it's like the first one, and we'll talk about Merseyside because we're a Merseyside podcast. The first goal is like a Gerrard bang, and then the second one's like a Tim Cahill. Like, it just, how can those two players merge into one? Yeah. And he's 19,
20, just turned 20.
It's a joke. Yeah. How you can have that, like, you know, ability to see that's on, then to execute it, and also that now sort of getting in the area and just getting on the end of things and scoring that scrappy goal.
And he's come out at the end of it and said it wasn't his best game.
Yeah, yeah.
Not happy with his performance. So
that show, that type of mentality just tells you.
Well, it's just petrifying for everyone else, thinking, you know, you've scored, I think, 13 in 12, assisted about 5, scored in every Champions League game for Madrid. You'd have just won the Clasico, and you're not playing that great.
And his athleticism is as big as Astro. So regardless of the game, the goals and the assists, the grounds he covers, you know, the impact he has in terms of how he influences the opposition off the ball, it's just he's got everything, hasn't he?
And although we're not, like, me and you aren't big on the whole wanting England to win stuff, not me that bothered by it, not that I don't want them to win, I'm just not bothered. I think if England are going to do anything, it will be keeping him and Harry Kane, because Harry Kane, you know what the great thing, I was actually buzzing for Harry Kane at the weekend. He gets a hat-trick, but one of his goals, again, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, from the halfway line. Whether he's playing in a Farmers League or not, that's a good effort. Do you know what I mean?
That's ridiculous, yeah. Like,
you can't say, but it's against, you know, who cares if it's against he's scoring a goal. He's got the vision to look up, see his keeper off his line.
What was great was he didn't have to do it. It wasn't like, it was, what was it, 2-0 at the time or something like that. The other team was down to 9 men. They were down to 10 men. Just gets it. There's another pass on. He goes, you know what? I'm just going to...
Boom.
Oh, and it was perfection as well.
It
wasn't like one of those soggy ones where the goalie's the goalie was in a normal position or where he would normally be.
Unbelievable. And I just think, you know, them, it was just unbelievable.
They were sort of, again, like we're promoting talks about constantly, but we both listen to it. I think someone was saying at the start of the week, you know, when was the last time England had a world-class player? And like Bellingham and Kane are 2 of the best players in the world right now. Yeah. Which is what you're getting at. Like, it's...
Well, on that note, it was the Ballon d'Or this week as well. Messi won it for the record 8th time. Do you agree he should have got it?
I don't know. It's one of them, innit?
It is a hard one. Like.
Yeah, it is a hard one. I don't think so. I think if you're just going to base it on what happened in the last calendar year. I don't think so. I don't think.
Well, I think if you're going to base it on that, he 100% does not deserve it.
Yeah. But I just think it's almost like
any football fan, lad. It's like that was a magical World Cup. That
it was, yeah. And it I think the fact he I wouldn't say. Yeah, he did drag them over the line. To,
of course he did, and it's just the whole
romance of it.
Unless you want.
And you know what? I think what's been great is most people went, you know what, he deserves it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like even the players were a little bit like, fair enough. I can't argue with Messi getting one last Ballon d'Or.
And I think everyone knows that is his last one.
Yeah, that's
Do you know
it.
What I mean? That Messi Ronaldo debate is now absolutely finished.
Put to bed.
Messi's got more of them. I'm team Messi anyway, but.
More of everything now.
I did feel a little bit for Haaland, but again,
he ain't going to be back, isn't he?
No.
I think the only thing on that
Bellingham to contend with.
I was going to say the only thing on that one. That's the bit that I feel a little bit aggrieved for him. Like he's come to the Prem, smashed the leading goal scorer,
won the treble.
Like again, got Man City that elusive Champions League. What else can you do in that season? As you say, like Bellingham's on the up, Kane is going to be there or thereabouts if Bayern go into the deeper stages of the Champions League. He might get pipped again.
If Haaland doesn't rip it up as much as he did in the Prem.
Yeah.
No, I think he was incredibly unlucky, but just as a football fan who just was like willing Messi on so much to win that World Cup, and he finally did, I was just buzzing.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I can't have too many arguments about it. Like.
So onto footy again, and we will keep it to the Prem last if you like, but some of the things that were great this week, and I've actually got maybe a different view you might think on this. Sheff Wednesday owner, let me try and get his name right, Dejphon Chanisri. So basically he's £2 million in the hole, and they need to have it I think in 2 weeks, and he's asked all of the fans, he's asked 20,000 fans to give him £100, which would make the 2 million. And yeah,
HMRC and what they owe on the wages, isn't it?
And they can all go about the way. Now, my little take on it, first and foremost, is number one, I don't think he genuinely is asking them to.
Well, he's not, and I'll tell you why in a second. But
well, it might be the same reason I think so. What I think is, it's this whole idea of, let's say for example, I buy Tranmere. Right. Let's just say, by the way, I don't know where he's got his money from or anything like that, but
very rich family,
is it?
Part of a rich family, yeah.
Okay, but let's just say, right, I come into, I don't know, 20 mil, which is a lot, but I mean, it's not
for a League Two club like Tranmere, it's enough to.
So I go, let's just say, and I don't want to disrespect any Tranmere fans, but let's just say I buy Tranmere, and it costs me £2 million a year, right? And I've got a personal wealth of 20 mil. Okay, right. So I'm pumping £2 million of my own money into this club every year, right? And they're just doing all right. They're not, but £2 million every year, right? I get through a few years, 5 years, right? I put £10 million into this club. I'm on to my last personal 10 million, right? And fans are going, fucking hell, get out of our club, you shite. I'm like, I've put £10 million of my money in, and you're saying I'm just a custodian. Yeah. It's not even my club. It's your club.
Yeah. That's what he's trying to say. Yeah.
So I think he's kind of went, well, yeah. And if it's your club,
then stump the money.
It's £100 then.
Yeah.
Because if you don't put £100 in, I've got to find £2 million of my own money, and I'm not doing it no more. So I think he's it's been a bit of a PR disaster.
Playing the bluff a little bit, isn't he?
He is, but he's made himself look a bit of an idiot in doing so. But I can totally understand that.
The reason why he didn't intend or to kind of ask for that or deliver on it is fans started calling up saying, where's he donating? And you're going, there is nowhere to donate.
Oh, well, there you go.
So he's like, it was just literally making a point to say,
just making a point.
It's going to be me that keeps this club afloat.
And I think it's such a, we give owners, and I think, by the way, there is a difference in owners. You're talking about the sheikhs that and that own City.
I think the point you're making, he's not taking money out the club, is he? He's not.
No.
He's not like. He's not come in with a loan of 20 million to buy Sheff Wednesday, and he's using it.
And I just think footy fans have got a cheek in some aspect where they're like, it's our club, and it's like, well, hang on, it is, but like he's putting money in out of his own back pocket, and I think that's what he's just been pissed off with, and that's where that's come about. But he's obviously, it's made headlines all week, which is quite funny.
I mean, you know what would be interesting? I don't know this, so in fact, I'm probably going to flip it a little bit here. was a Sheff Web fan who called in about this, and he said something like they got the most expensive season tickets, even in the championship or whatever. So what I was going to say is, like, he could have just went to the start of the season, just going to put the season tickets up by £100 a ticket, and there's the 2 million done. So that's pretty much what he's saying, isn't he, by doing that? Because
I think it's because he needs it now, though, type thing.
It was funny when he was going, but I need it before the 5th, because it needs to be paid by the 10th and all that.
Yeah, no,
I thought it was quite funny, only because of the fact that I don't think he actually meant it, because of the fact that there was no facility there for fans to actually
I felt sorry for him. I feel sorry for him.
I don't feel sorry for him, mate.
Okay, I don't feel sorry for him, but I mean, it'd piss me off.
Yeah.
If I've just won the lottery or something and I, think I'm doing a good thing.
It's his family's money, like, it's not, he hasn't won the lottery, his family have got a lot of money, and it's coming out of their coffers.
It just pissed me off, though, if I'm there, right, and I'm going, I've got to put another 2 million into this. And then you get some little scrope bag going, fuck off out of our club. I feel like saying that, lad, show me how to. I'll be gone.
Yeah.
Go and find some other mug to put 2 million quid of their own money in.
Yeah.
You had Saudi have won the
World Cup bid.
They haven't won, but Australia have pulled out, haven't they? So
they've won it by default.
Which I also think, and you know what? The reason I think this is because of everything that's happened.
You give Australian money to just step aside money.
FIFA turned around and said we're going to give this to an Oceania or a Asia country. Yeah. So I'm not being funny. We've seen it in the past, brown envelopes. You're telling me that they've went, by the way, that fella who runs FIFA or UEFA, one of them's got a he's got a house in Qatar. By the way, now
what was really bang on about it, right, is that the Aussie, the fella who was running their bid, come out and said, yeah, we had to think about it, and we've got the women's thing coming up and all that. It was like, you didn't have to give a reason, like no one else does. They just said no, just not for us.
Yeah.
But the fact he had like a statement ready for why they pulled out.
It's not because of anything.
Yeah.
So
it's not that new building or that new stadium we're building in Sydney.
Blatter or whoever it was, I don't even know the names anymore. One of them just, go, even just make it public knowledge and say we're going to pick between these two continents. Saudi, they're the only Middle East one. And then they go to New Zealand and Australia, by the way. Anyone think, oh, you are?
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's maybe pull that bid.
Let me just let Saudi Arabia know that you're going to bid. And then we'll give it a week and see if you want to change your mind.
Anyway, so that's what's happening. It looks like it'll be another a winter break, which I'm not happy with because I'm half convinced that it wasn't great for Liverpool. So anyway, you've got Man United are now moaning about their football kit is too tight, which is a mad one. The keeper's top's too small. Apparently he's been wearing a replica kit.
So what?
What the
fuck?
What?
Hey. Like, there's a certain argument, or like, I know from when I grew up, if I had crap boots on, I would play crap, but not if I'm wearing a kit that's, no.
Lad, I'm pretty sure, even if it is a bit, it's not going to be like...
It wasn't that bad,
He's not running around like a pillowcase or something, do you know what I mean?
No.
It's like a bin bag on him, yeah. Like, just stuck his arms through. And wrote a number 1 on the back. So, I just think it... Although I think it might be like just a slow news story or something, because how can that be like?
No,
it's not a real thing.
You know what? It was just Man United haven't had any stupid stories about them this week. Let's just pull one out of the bag. It's got to be because it's clearly not a proper excuse.
And then the other news was, which I thought was interesting, was Brentford willing to let Toney go for 80 million. I'd get that Salah money in and get him. I wouldn't really. Only joking. I think he's a great player though.
I think there's only yourselves. I think you've got enough forwards, to be fair. I think it's only yourselves, Man City,
Arsenal.
No, I think Arsenal take him.
No,
I know Nketiah got a hat-trick at the weekend, but I think Toney's a better player, a better forward than Nketiah.
So I mean, they go for him.
Oh, I thought you said it's. What I meant is it's only used to who probably don't need him.
Oh, sorry.
City don't need him. I don't think you need him.
Is it nice to go for him?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know enough about Hoyland yet, but he looks
genuine.
He
I know you're saying we could all need them, but who do you think are genuine going for him? I think Arsenal.
I don't think United can. I really don't think they can. I don't think you can spend. What did they spend? 60, 70 million on Hoyland. I think you can do that and then go and pay 80 million for Toney. I think Arsenal would be very tempted. I think they look like their model now is to sign 1 or 2 big players or something, not to go and get like 5 or 6. And Declan Rice was the 100 million player this season. I think we said to them next summer you can get Toney for 80 million. I think they snap your hands off.
I mean, I'm not worried for Arsenal with regards to the title. I think it's still going to be between Liverpool and Man City. But if they did get Toney, it would make me a bit more concerned.
I think they're slowly just... I think they're just getting better brick by brick, Arsenal. I think they're doing it the right way. The only way that, the only way to do it without doing a Man City or a Newcastle haven't maybe done it, but the only way to do it without breaking the rules.
Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea, yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right, and I think if they, I'd be worried. I don't know whether that'd be a January one or maybe in the summer.
On that one as well, on Chelsea, did you hear Pochettino's comments before the game tonight? He just said the fans need to be patient. It's a project.
Oh,
I hate that word, project.
it's obviously reference to the Wednesday night League Cup game, so we won't be able to comment on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the last thing
the fans want
to hear, innit?
You want to turn around and go, look, it's my job to win matches, and I'll find a way to win matches and also develop this team with the same. You can't be a Premier League manager and be getting paid the money you're getting and all that and say this is a project.
No.
Your job's to go and win football matches.
Well, on the back of that,
and use the training ground to develop the players at the same time.
Well, on the back of that, we will jump into like the last week's action and this weekend. So you had Man United obviously beat 3-0 in the Manchester City derby, and there's this whole thing. I've seen Gary Neville coming out saying it's not great for the club because of all the Jim Ratcliffe coming in saying he's going to get rid of all the football and people and stuff like that. And I think Carragher makes a great analysis with it and says basically what you've just said then about Pochettino.
Yeah.
It's on the manager, on the pitch. I'm not being funny. I've never been, unfortunately, on 100 grand a week as a professional footballer, so I don't know. But I can only imagine that, when, the keeper, what's his name? Anana. When he's coming into work, right? He's just signed mega money, coming into work on 100 grand a week in his brand new car, leaving his mansion in his Fitbird. When he turns up,
what's that got to do?
Because they've all got boss birds, haven't they? Because they're all loaded. When he's turned up Monday morning, right, and they go, right, we're going to do a corner drill. I'm going to bang corners in for half an hour, then we're going to do a shooting drill, then we're going to do a... There is not one bit of his day where he's went...
Jim Ratcliffe,
Jim Ratcliffe, my God, he's going to bring in a new head of football here. It's not on his mind.
You've got a 5-year contract and all that. You've got a 5-year contract, on, as you say, on mega money. You can probably sit there and do nothing and still get paid, or someone else comes in for you. You're right, it's absolute nonsense. Yeah, do you know what's like the polar opposite as well? They were talking on and this is actually more of a reason why you'd be distracted. They were saying, do you think the Everton players worried about this 12 points, or it's in fact it's impacting them, or do you think conversely Sean Dyche is trying to create a bit of a siege mentality to go, sound, give us the 12 points, but still stay up type thing, and telling the players we've just got to win games. And Calvert-Lewin come out after the game, the West Ham game, and he said, you know what, that's nothing to do with us. We can't do anything about that. The whole and there's a big thing about the controllables thing, but everyone says it, don't they?
Yeah.
But Carragher was spot on, and he knows he's been there. He's been at a massive club. He's been in a massive club where there's been times when people don't like the owners, and people don't like the manager under Hodgson. It's like your job's to just go out and play footy.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, I think you nailed on with the whole Poch thing, and that I think if you're a United or Chelsea fan, the money that's being spent, you're just praying out that you get a kind of Klopp or an Arteta who've kind of got that, what looks to be the kind of formula to build. No, Arsenal won nothing yet. But
and by the way, I thought Arteta was going to be a bit like a Pochettino. Like he was just going to kind of be process and all that, and it was like they play good footy and get beat. But he's shown he can grind results out as well. Yeah.
So City looked like they were back. Well, not back. Don't think it was a great Manchester derby by any stretch.
Much, did they?
No. Haaland getting a couple, and that's them sitting pretty.
Speaking of sitting pretty, but being so close, I was 1 point away from winning the £100 in the fancy footy. You
were really close. I think was it 1 point? No,
1 point.
No, you were 4 or 5.
Wasn't it 1 point?
No, I think you were 4 or 5.
I thought it was 1 point. All right.
You were close anyway. Yeah, that. So the £100 got won this week. You were bob on though with your Everton prediction. I wasn't so sure. You seemed to be sitting there quite pretty at this time last week of.
I did say
do a job on Moyes.
Go and get there and go there and beat them. I think there was a few things where
I said a draw, and you were like, "Nah, I think we'll win."
Yeah, I did. Again, not to plug our podcast too much, but we do basically a podcast with the opponents, so an opposing podcast. So we spoke to a West Ham podcast last week, and he was just saying we really struggle when teams sit back and kind of contain us, and we struggle against the counter attack, and we're going to be leggy after our Thursday games, which we have been a lot.
Yeah.
And I just thought, we really done a job on Brentford who were like high energy and all that. If you use a soggy, then they didn't really we didn't really play that well.
No.
We just a bit more. I mean, Calvert-Lewin
Pickford made that thing, from what I remember, one great save.
Great save, was a good save. Paquetá from the volley.
I think, yeah.
It was a volley at the near post. I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, he had to save it. But listen, I said at the end of last season, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's so important to us when he's in the team.
You know what?
He now looks like
he's
sharp as well as fit.
Yeah, I feel like backing down a little bit because I slated him so much, and it wasn't so much that I thought he was a bad player. It was just like you never fucking see him.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying, like I've got the best painting in the world there. It's worth millions. And you go, oh no, I'll show you next week.
Yeah.
Like everything was spoken so much about him, and he was just wasn't reliable. I think if he, he's done great, hold his man up on a turn, great finish. I think if you just keep him like that, then I don't even think there'll be any doubt of relegation.
As you're saying, we're recording on Wednesday night. We've got a game against Burnley at home tonight in the League Cup. 20-1,
by the way.
What?
Used to win the League Cup.
Too many teams still in it, isn't it?
Yeah, but you think about after tonight, you're going to have four Prem teams will be gone.
Yeah, you've got a couple of teams that you could get in the quarters. I think we could realistically, and I don't want to look past tonight because every game's a banana skin when you're an Everton fan. But you could easily drift into the semis by playing a Port Vale in the next round.
Yeah.
But
the thing to do would have been grab them at 20-1 now,
and then lay them in the semis.
You hope to get a fortunate draw, and then you just cash your bet out.
Yeah. But again,
I'd do that.
By the time people are watching, we'll be out.
Yeah, I've put my mortgage on. They've just been beat by Burnley 1-0. I'm living on the streets. So yeah, you had that. I think we also said about Liverpool, pretty obvious one at the Forest game. Yeah. What I will say on that is obviously when Jota scored, he goes over with the Luis Diaz shirt. Obviously horrendous what's going on at the moment. His dad has been, his mum and his dad were kidnapped. His mum's been given back, and his dad, I'm assuming, for a ransom. What I will say on Colombia, right, is obviously the Colombian, the 99.9% of the Colombian people will be absolutely, devastated of what's happened to him. Because I actually spent a couple of weeks in Colombia, and the big thing what I took away from Colombia is because of obviously the news from Pablo Escobar's days.
Yeah, they're all desperate, aren't they?
They're really embarrassed. And when I went there, some of the friendliest people I've ever met.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
And it was an amazing experience I had. And I'd done a walking tour when I was out there, and the tour guide was like, we've got something like the biggest outside of Brazil. He's like, we've got like the most flowers, like the different flowers and stuff. He's going like, Colombia is like the first in the world for this. Did you know what? Like Colombia, I'm so proud of his country. Yeah. And he's like, when you go home, tell people about the flowers, tell people about this. He was like, don't tell them about Pablo Escobar. You don't want to know that. So I think,
Hollywood's have done that as well, haven't they? The amount of documentaries.
They hate narcos and things like that. And so he was like, I went away telling people like, oh, don't go and do that. Go here. All anti-drug stuff, anti-Pablo stuff. So I think they've worked really hard, and I think now they're just gutted that.
No, I heard that as well.
People are still associating them with that kind of world. So, but it was nice to see Jota kind of obviously pay tribute to that. And again, very routine. I've looked at Liverpool's next few fixtures. I think it doesn't really, I want to sound a bit cocky here, but our next few fixtures are obviously Bournemouth in the League Cup. You'd think we'd get through there. At the weekend, we've got Luton. Again, you'd think it's pretty straightforward. Then it's Toulouse away. Again, pretty straightforward. Brentford at home. Pretty straightforward. And that takes us up then to Man City on the 25th of November.
Which could be right.
So,
what are you 4 points behind them anyway?
I mean, you'd like to think we're going to win all the games up until then. I think we're, slowly. I think not getting spoken about too much.
I think the other thing that's in your favour, although you won't feel that way all the time, is it's Europa League, isn't it? And with the greatest respect, the opponents you're playing, you can
like
pick,
a League Cup.
Yeah, you can pick. You can make 10 changes and still easily deal with them. And City are not able to do that. They're having to field at least 8 of their best 11.
Yeah.
They haven't got a massive squad, City.
No, but they've got
they have got
like 15.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Worldies.
Oh yeah. They can make 5 changes, but they haven't got you've probably got.
I've said that for years. I think we've got a better.
You got more depth position by position. Yeah. But as you say, they've got 5 or 6 world class play. Like Alvarez comes in, and it's like.
Yeah.
And but
But I think, I'm happy
that could play a big factor. I think.
Yeah, and I've noticed it. Like, you look at that Toulouse game, like, the shite, like, they are shite. Maybe we finish off quickly with this weekend then. So you've got Everton, Brighton. I mean, I'll be honest, Everton, I'm not saying you're a whole other outfit, but I mean, if this was 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, you're fucked. You're going to get beat again.
I just think it's at home. Like, we got the issues at the moment at home, and I think it's just the fact that we've got 11 players that I think are strong enough to be mid-table if we keep them fit, but we've still only got one way of playing, and that is pretty much like kind of using the energy of the forward players and getting in behind and being tough to beat. Brighton play the way they play, they could easily come to Goodison and win 3-0 and just completely wipe the floor with us if we don't. We need to score first, and that's been proven, I think, by the stats. If we score first, we haven't been beat under Dyche. So it's very much about that first goal. I think we do. Brighton have shown they're certainly susceptible. I don't think they look the same team as last year. I think they are struggling a little bit with the demands of the European games.
Some
the rotation's been a bit,
departures as well.
Yeah, the rotation's been a bit iffy as well. I don't understand why he's not consistently playing João Pedro, because he looks to me far, way better than the other four. I know Evan Ferguson's got a few goals here and there, but for me, he should be rolling João Pedro out as often as he can. But yeah, I'm certainly not in a position to
prediction.
I'd
say a draw. Listen,
yeah,
again, 2 weeks ago I would have thought you'd get beat, but I'm going to actually go for a draw.
Yeah, I agree. I think 1-1, 1-1 or maybe 2-2. I've said we seem to have had a lot of 2-2s under Sean Dyche, which you wouldn't expect. But yeah, I think a draw is probably a fair result, and I think we probably take that, to be fair.
Liverpool are away to Luton. Again,
oh my God.
It's not really a lot you can... I did actually hope at the start of the season Luton would have one of those stadiums because of, the whole thing where it could create some sort of mad atmosphere.
But it's like people have went there and went, this is a joke. These are crap. Why are these in this league? Let's just get out of here.
Saying that, this will end up coming back to bite me on the
I hope it does. That's why
but
we got beat by Luton, by the way. We got beat by Luton at home.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think they've won at their ground.
Sheffield, no, they haven't got any points apart from the 3 against us.
Really?
Yeah, they got 3 points. Oh no, sorry, I think they got 1 point against someone.
I need to double check this. Come on.
They drew against someone. So Sheff United have only got 1 point. That was against us. Luton have got 4 points and 3 of them against us.
Wow. Yeah, so at the moment, Luton
got 1 draw against someone, I want to say. Oh, it was someone who went down to 10 men at Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, Luton have got 1 point at home. And
it was whoever it was, Brentford. Wolves went down to 10 men as well, and they couldn't get the jobs done.
Yeah, so
I can't see anything other than probably a 3 or 4-0 again. Maybe they might get one. I think they could score against you. I think because when they played against us, what they do basically is they just pump it into channels, try and get throw-ins and corners or free kicks, and obviously put it into the box. And in an FA Cup tie, which is kind of what they make it like, you can, if you get the first goal, you can make it difficult. But
I mean, they're only. When they're getting beat, I mean, they got beat 3-1 by Villa.
They haven't been smashed by anyone.
No, they got beat 2-1 by Burnley, 1-0 by Spurs, 1-0 by Fulham, 2-1 by... They're only losing by a goal most of the time, so I'd take it 2-0.
I think 2-0. I think the point you're making by reading them scores out, you don't normally need to score more than 2 to beat them, do you? They're not like a team who are going to score 3.
No.
Even at Goodison, they got 2 kind of on the counter, and we should have got about 6 on the day and just couldn't score.
It'd be great as well. You got Newcastle, Arsenal. Hopefully, a draw there, or even Newcastle win. I think it'd do stop Arsenal in the tracks, and then you've got Spurs, Chelsea. Hopefully, big London derby. Chelsea can do something to Spurs, but again, I'm not holding my breath. But again, those results go our way. Liverpool just keep climbing that table.
Hopefully not.
Last thing I will say on a personal note, my last man still going.
So's our one. Jen's in.
Did she manage to... Who did she go last weekend?
Last weekend it was Villa.
Yeah, 18 when Villa in the one I'm in.
There was one person who went out with Newcastle. Someone else went out with... not United. There was 2 people who went out last... Newcastle away at Wolves.
Right.
Jen's gone for Wolves this week.
I went for Wolves. I went for, mate, there's fucking no one else I could go for.
I think nearly everyone's gone for Wolves because, again, there's no teams left that she can pick. She hasn't picked Everton. She was tempted with Everton. I said, no, don't do it.
I just straight away looked for who were playing Sheff United, Luton, or Bournemouth.
Well, I said, look, all I need to tell you about Sheff United is they got 1 point all season. It was against Everton. She was like, sound, done.
Yeah. So anyway, I
Fingers
think
crossed.
that takes us, hopefully Wolves win. And hopefully Liverpool and Everton both get 3 points.
We're at the races on Saturday.
And we're at the race, we're at Wetherby. Might send a
Random
little really random one. Apparently it's going to be pissing down, but
We'll be there anyway.
we'll be there.
Even if there's no racing, we'll be there.
We'll be out somewhere.
We're missing now.
Just walking around
Yeah.
Wetherby. Nice one everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy your weekend, and we see you next week.